4 p.m. Pacific time, and then again on Sundays. So this show will record next Thursday. Well, it will be live on Dash Radio, DashTalk X, as Mr. Zone would like me to say. Okay, so we're going to get started. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Look at my skin though, y'all. Look.
Oh my God. Priorities.
Priorities.
Stay focused.
Okay, so ladies, are we ready?
I do believe. Although my phone might die.
This your case?
Yes. Thank you.
You're
ladies.
very
Have a good
welcome.
show.
Thank you. Okay, ladies, it's we're on time. I said 105.
Hey.
How y'all just gonna come up in our show? Did we come up in your show?
The stripper they hired. I'm just looking
That's
for a small
funny.
little sweater cap.
A sweater?
Yeah, a little hat, little beanie.
Oh.
I don't see
A
one.
hat made out of sweater.
A hat made out of a sweater.
You're more than welcome to.
No, y'all precious over there. I don't do
No.
that.
You're fine. No, we looked. There was
I'm from the
nothing.
South. Y'all don't do shit around
I
me
don't
on this
see
person.
nothing.
So am I. Where are you from?
Texas.
Oh, I'm from Florida.
Oh, no, you from the
Okay.
East.
That is the
That's funny.
Sorry.
Okay, ladies, say hi to the people.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
All
So
right,
before we
let's
get
go
started,
live.
do you want me to introduce you or only introduce you when you come in?
You can introduce me.
Okay. So
Hi guys, welcome. We are
Well,
going
she's done
live.
with
I'm
the
here
start.
in the studio, DashTalk X.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. We are getting ready
Everybody's
to
going live.
record. We are talking about
Thanks for tuning in.
fatherless
Today we're talking
homes.
about
This is a
fatherless
two-part
homes.
series
Jump in,
for our
leave
show
your
Legal
Facebook,
Ish,
throw
where
that
we
like.
talk celebrity drama from a legal perspective. So we'll be talking. This
All
is a
right.
two-part
Also,
series.
make
The
sure you
first
go
part
to
we'll talk about fatherless homes today.
www.drglenna.com,
Next week we'll be talking about motherless homes because we know that happens
and make
too.
sure that
So
you
thank you for
pick up
tuning
your
in,
2019
and we
planner,
are
your
recording
just say
live
live.
now,
Open
but
your
the show will
Facebook.
actually air on Dash
Wait a minute, can you
Radio
help
next
her?
week.
On
So
Facebook, it should say live.
if you have any questions or comments, make sure you go ahead and post them
You
down
gonna get a
below.
whooping. You
I'll
come
make
here
sure
one more
that
time.
You're gonna be on the
Whoop,
show.
but
That's
it-
what's gonna happen
right.
next.
Forgive my co-hosts; they're
That's
kind of
what's gonna
loud.
happen next.
But once we get rolling,
Right.
You need to bring a
we'll
flashlight
talk
in
right
here.
on
You can't see
right about the topic.
Start
So
live video when you're ready.
hang in there with me for like another minute.
My phone.
Okay, are we ready?
Hi.
Uh-oh. My phone might die because
Tell me when y'all ready with y'all promos.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Just let our
This
guests
is
do
my
what he needs to do.
first
You
time.
got it?
Sorry, you guys.
You got it?
Warm,
You got your sweater cap?
Y'all are
Did he
hot.
say
Ready.
All right, this is my
Okay,
first time
y'all
going
ready?
live on YouTube. So thank you guys for tuning in.
All right,
Thank you guys
guys.
who are also
All right,
tuning
y'all,
in
we
on
gotta get
Facebook.
started.
Let's
You
go.
ready?
Yep.
We're ready.
Welcome to Legalish on DashTalk X. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a very interesting topic today, I must say. Don't you say, ladies?
Yes,
I would say
we
so
do.
too.
We are talking about fatherless homes. I know, we've heard it before, but we are going to do a two-part series. We're going to talk about fatherless homes, and what I see on the rise is motherless homes, which we don't hear about a lot, but we will talk about that next week, so we are not going to discriminate. But first, before we get started, I would like to welcome all of our co-hosts and guests. I'm going to start with you. Go ahead, Marissa Grayson.
I am Marissa V. Grayson, co-founder of the Elite Firm, also the founder of the Law Office of Marissa V. Grayson. I'm a child custody and family law attorney, mediator, and co-parent coach, also known as America's Blended Family Expert. Thank you guys for tuning in to Legalish on DashTalk X.
Woo-woo. Dr. Glenn.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenna. I am a mental health therapist. I specialize in treating anxiety-based disorders and emotional abuse recovery. Make sure you go to www.drglenna.com, DRGLENNA. Pick up your 2019 planner. Pick up your little black t-shirt, little black crew neck, little black hoodie. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have a special guest with us. Go ahead, special guest. Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm not as fancy as everybody else. My name is Michelle L. Kazadi. I'm a certified family law specialist here in Los Angeles. I am the principal and owner of the law office of Michelle L. Kazadi in Marina Del Rey. Happy to be here.
Oh, Lord,
That's
you
pretty
got
fancy to me.
right. You got 3 family law attorneys in the building. This should be a lot of fun. So, ladies, I was preparing for our show, and I must say I was a little depressed by the statistics of fatherless homes. Can we talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
And not only was I surprised by the statistics, but even more alarming were the statistics in black families.
Mm.
And I know being black is cool and all right now, but it's still alarming the amount of children that are growing up without fathers, and admittedly so my own. So can someone talk about the statistics and what's going on? Marissa, what are the statistics?
Whew. The statistics. Which statistics you want?
Let's start with the overall statistics. How many kids in America right now are growing up without fathers in the home?
It's millions. Millions. I don't even know the exact amount because the numbers have changed drastically over the years, but it fluctuates between 2 million and 10 million. I don't know what it is right now, but it's definitely in the millions, which is far more than it needs to be, first and foremost. And that's just fatherless homes. That doesn't even count the motherless homes.
Right.
So millions of children are growing up in homes without their fathers. So there's a major fatherless epidemic. It's been a problem for a while, but it continues.
To be exact, there are over 20 million children growing up in fatherless homes. And more surprising, in black homes, what do you all think the percentage is of black children growing up without fathers?
Is that 20 million?
I'm gonna say 15.
15%?
No, 15 million.
15 out of 20 million.
It's not funny either, though. But yeah, that's just my guess.
Your
I
guess?
hope I'm wrong, though.
Dr. Glenna, what do you think?
50% of that 20 million? That's my guess.
Yeah, Kazadi, thank you.
You might as well join in. You're here.
Well, I agree with Dr. Glenna. I think it's at least 50%.
It is 56%
Oh,
of our black children are growing up in fatherless homes.
So that's more than 10 million.
that's heavy.
It is heavy.
Yeah.
It is heavy. And I don't know why, but the number has tripled from 1960 to 2016.
Wow.
The amount of children that are growing up in fatherless homes. Dr. Glenna, can you tell us why? Or attempt to tell us why? I mean, you don't have all the answers. We think you do. But can you shed some light on this? This is alarming.
There's a number of reasons. So we know that one of the big ones was the crack epidemic in the 80s, in black neighborhoods. So that's a really big one, because if we're looking from the 60s until now, like that happened kind of in the 80s, the 90s, the era of like gang violence and things like that. Isaiah on my live right now is mentioning that some fathers are locked up. And so some of the incarceration laws, the things that happen in terms of like mandatory sentencing and how that affected the black community, even stop and frisk, you know what I mean? Things like that, the 3 strikes law, how the laws are written. There are systematic reasons why African-American fathers are taken away from their children. In addition to just, we're not going to glaze over the father that is just choosing to be absent for whatever reason.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, that's alarming, and I think that's what we are talking about today. We are not talking about fathers who are absent because have to be, such as incarceration or death. We're talking about fathers that just aren't there. And I guess a question that came up for me is, how do dads leave? How do you leave knowing that you have a little seed walking around here?
And how do you make that conscious choice?
Right. How do you say, I'm just going to live my life and
For me.
my seed is running around?
Right.
Have you dealt with something like that, Dr. Glenna, where your client has said, you know what, it kind of is what it is, and I've accepted that?
It's never that cut and dry. Now, there are some like pure trife life people.
Right.
That is my clinical diagnosis, right? Like, just trife life, just like, okay, like I read somebody's post the other day that said, I don't mess with my baby mama anymore because I don't date women with kids. Like, just trifling, you know what I mean? Just produce a child with no intentions of pouring into the child, of supporting the mother and raising the child and co-parenting. There is that person. He does exist. And we're not going to pretend like he doesn't exist. But there are a lot of other factors. Fear. is a really big factor.
Fear of,
right.
Fear of a lot of things. You know, when a woman gets pregnant, we become a mother the day that we get pregnant because
Right.
we are already nurturing, we're already considering the life of the child, excuse me, in our day-to-day interactions, what we eat, where we go, who we're around, how much sleep we get or don't get, and all that kind of stuff. But for a father, it doesn't always become really real until the child is in their face. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's the fear of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I can provide. I don't know if I can be the kind of man that everybody expects me to be. There's a lot of fear, and it's very expensive. Anybody with children, you know, they are very expensive. I feel like my children grow daily, like every 5 minutes. I say my son's pajamas look like he's a pirate because they're all short and got holes in the knees. Like, so sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's fear because they didn't have a parent.
Right.
They didn't have a healthy parent. And so they don't know how to come into the situation and be a better parent. They don't have anything to draw from.
Right. See, that's surprising to me too, because a lot of times, and we're going to talk about mothers who leave as well, but a lot of times us as women don't have that option. We're scared too, right? A lot of us didn't have fathers. A lot of us aren't wealthy. So it seems like sometimes it's easier for the man to say, okay, I don't want to be bothered with this. I can't deal with this, right? So then you have some single mothers that are tired, that do not have a support system, that are burned out, that, I mean, what do we do about the mothers that have to stick with the decision that dad decided, I don't want to do this?
I mean, you know, that's a loaded question. There's never, there's never like an easy answer. I mean, you know, the quick and dirty answer is she's got to like bulk of her support system. You know, that's where aunties, godmothers, friends groups and things like that. Like in terms of what is the mother going to do? Also finding ways to engage the father. Finding ways to engage the father so that she can really explain, like, hey, this is your child. We made this child together. This child needs both of us. This child needs a woman's perspective and a man's perspective. So there's no quick and dirty, you know, answer for that. And of course, it's unfair.
Right. Absolutely. You guys, this is a really heavy topic, and it's something that affects families all across the world every single day. So right now, thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you who are just now tuning in, you're listening to Legalish on DashTalk X, and we are going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we will continue the conversation about fatherless homes and this fatherless epidemic and what we can do about it. So we'll be right back.
Okay, going back on, ladies, at 1:17.
All right, guys. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in.
Thank you
so
guys for
far.
tuning
Again, we're talking
in.
about
We are recording the live episode of Legalish. It's a lot of us in here talking right now. We're all on live. Make sure you go ahead and comment below. I'll get to you guys' comments and questions and all of that good stuff while we're recording. But for those of you who are just tuning in, we're talking about fatherless homes. So thank you for listening, and we'll be starting back in a few minutes.
If you have a question, just shoot it here, and I will try to get it on air.
We're all in the studio.
You know, it's a lot for me to do all of this, but thank you so much for joining us.
That's Dr. Glenna right there.
I don't have
and here's everybody.
I don't have good sense. Oh, but hey, look, everybody's waving at everybody.
Hi guys. So we're pretty deep in here today.
My first line. Okay, here we go back.
Don't drop any of these devices, whatever you do.
Right? Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
It off?
All right, you guys.
Oh, well,
Who is that?
Okay.
Okay. I'm not a
Welcome back to Legalish on DashTalk X. Thank you for joining us. Today we are talking about fatherless homes, and we were just talking about some of the impacts on single mothers when they are faced with the reality that they are in fact going to be single mothers. And Dr. Glenna was mentioning building your support system, trying to talk to the father. But what I've seen a lot of times are a lot of people, especially in Los Angeles, don't have a support system. They don't have aunts and moms and stuff like that to build out their support system and have the help they need. And sometimes if dad has a conscious decision that he's not going to be there, you only can do so much talking, right? And so I guess we're going to talk about a little later in the show kind of something single mothers can do to get the breaks that they need. Because I don't know about you all, and we are all mothers in here, but I need a break. Like, I cannot go
Right.
without, you know, kind of getting some me time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and I talk to all my friends about this all the time on Sundays, because I am a single parent. My mom and dad, and my mom actually comes down, and then my parents also help me with taking Aiden so I can, do what I need to do for myself. And I think that is extremely important. And I think as mothers, and you all can speak to this, we feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do I need a break? Why?
That's every day.
We feel like, why do I should be spending this time with my kid, or why am I?
I don't feel guilty.
I don't feel
them. My kids will be on the porch.
But I'm talking about in a general sense, how women have it appears, and this is not always, the end all be all, that women tend to have more guilt when it comes to not being with their kids than fathers do. What do you all think about that?
I think that it's definitely, specifically for a lot of my single mom clients, it's one of the biggest struggles that they face. And even me as a married mom, I need breaks too, shoot.
Right.
And sometimes, we put so much energy into our children, into our families, and making sure that, everything's done. And
Right.
I can only, I always give props to the single moms that I know who are doing their thing. I give you props, girl, because I'm telling you now,
Right.
I have no idea what I would do with my kids without my husband. Our schedules are so crazy, and we tag team, and we, okay, you take this kid, I'm gonna take this kid. We both gonna meet here, and then we're gonna do this. Like, this kid needs a haircut, this kid needs her hair done. Like, all of this stuff, plays, recitals, events, soccer games, basketball, football. Like, there's so much going on, and a lot of times it's like, whoa, okay, what about us? So we all, it definitely is one of those things. And then when you are away from your kids for extended periods of time, and thankfully I have an amazing support system, our family does. But otherwise it's like, okay, well, we're away, and how are our children feeling? And thankfully our kids are comfortable, but I can only imagine in a situation where there isn't that other parent there, or there is no support system, when the parents will feel like, okay, I should never have that time to myself. So it's definitely a big deal,
Glenna?
I agree.
Dr. Glenna, excuse me.
I think that like me time on a daily basis is essential.
Right.
If you can get a day, great. If you can get a weekend, even better. If you can get a week, my God, like let's do this, But I think that that downtime is essential. And I agree with Marissa. As a married mom, like I have my husband is amazing, but even with that, it's still like, is it 2 kids or 6 in here? Because I am like, it's 7 o'clock and I am worn out, like wiped out. And it's like, we haven't even taken baths yet. We haven't even done homework yet. And so I agree that it is essential, but I still feel like you really have to build out your support system.
Right.
And sometimes, like you said, it doesn't always come in the form of a mom or a blood aunt or a sister. Sometimes it comes in the form of like for example, my kids both have best friends.
Right.
And I didn't pick their best friends, but we just got blessed so that the best friends that they pick come from good families.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, if I really needed to, I could send them over there.
Right.
And I could say, can they have a night? And then in a week, I'll take your kids. And I know that they're going to be kept and taken care of, because I agree. Like, we as adults, we work literally all day, and then you come home and you work again all night. It is essential to get some downtime.
Right.
Kazadi, from the other single parent in the house.
From the other single parent, I am guilty as charged. I do not take enough time for myself, and I have been forced to take the time because I haven't, just because my body is breaking down. Has stress has caused something in me to make me have to stop right then and there. So I've been through that. I have 2 kids. I've juggled all the things that they have to be involved in, and me being the only one driving them everywhere. So it has been tough. It has been tough. So what I do is I really try to make it a point to go to the gym often, a few times at least per week, and do other things outside at the beach, walking on the beach, riding my bike at the beach, or something like that takes me out of my world for a little bit. But a week off, give that to me. One of these days I will take a week off by myself, but it has not happened yet.
And you bring up a good point. If you do not make the time your body make the time for
Isn't
you.
it crazy
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
will do that for
yeah.
you? Like, hold
Yeah.
on, you're doing those.
Right.
Sit your little self down somewhere.
Your
Right
body will
away.
shut
Right
you
now.
down.
Right now, as
Right.
they say, right?
Right. And it's so funny because a lot of the diseases and stuff that we hear about all start with stress.
Yep.
This is true.
Stress. So I wanted to talk a little bit the impact on the children who are experiencing not having their fathers in the home. And again, this is a two-part series. We were talking about mothers not being present as well, because I am starting to see a lot of that in practice. Our practice, excuse me. And so I want to start with toddlers and kind of, Dr. lead this because, you know, this is your expertise. But I noticed with my own toddler, I don't know if he notices because I've been blessed enough to have my father, my grandfather who was around. So Aiden is very connected to him. But he still says, well, what's my dad's name? Or can I talk to him? And I don't hide it from him, and I say, you know, this is his name. If you want to talk to him, let me know. But he's still not there. So what do you see in toddlers? What advice can you give to women with toddlers that are kind of dealing with their kids, noticing that their father is not there? He can't go to dad's and nuts and stuff like that. How do we deal with that?
The beauty of toddlers is that they are really resilient.
Right.
So you can give them like a grandfather or a godfather or an uncle, and they're
Right.
like, okay, great. You know, especially if you have a son, things like potty training. You know what I mean? No,
That's a
seriously.
whole nother topic.
Seriously, with my
Yes.
son, I'm
Got
thinking
you.
in my head, okay, at what point do I tell him to stand up?
Right.
I don't know. At what point do I tell him you don't pull your pants all the way down to your ankles? Like just not in public. Like
Right.
you know, as a woman, I don't know. You know, and so if you have a man around, like it's really helpful, of course, so they can teach him and they can help him kind of navigate those types of things. But as a toddler, they're resilient. And
Right.
toddlers, it's really about building a bond, building a healthy connection. And so just like in terms of stages of development and theory of attachment, if a child bonds to somebody, then they're usually okay. So if you
Right.
have an infant, even if it's not the mother, if they have somebody where they can have a healthy bond with, they're usually emotionally, they'll be okay. So toddlers, that's usually what I say. I think it's harder when you have someone that was there for a period of time and then they just kind of dropped off the face of the earth.
Right.
I think that's more emotionally triggering and damaging than a person who just kind of wasn't really there.
Right. Right. Even with them not there, your kids are still curious. Like
Right.
Oh,
my
absolutely.
son wants to know who his dad is. He wants to know who his sisters and brothers are. So they are curious, but I think you're right in the sense that he is so attached to my dad. I do find comfort in that. But I think I do worry as he gets older because then when they get adolescent, 8, 9, 10, and then the kids start asking questions, then what?
But see, then it's a little different then.
Right.
And to me, at that point, you got to have a conversation at your comfort level as a parent.
Right.
And in terms of how much are you going to disclose, how much are you comfortable disclosing as a parent? It's just like you're my Cabbage Patch baby. Like I didn't birth you, but I hand selected you, so that it's very clear that although you are not my blood child, you are my child.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
Right.
it really just depends on what level of transparency do you want to have. What are you comfortable with? What are the circumstances? Is the person locked up? Did they opt out? Maybe it's something between the two of you, and you decided, you know, for safety reasons, because I've seen that happen too. For safety reasons, your father can't be involved in our life at this point.
Right.
You know, so it's up to the parent, but I do recommend that you can't brush it under the rug. I've seen that happen too.
Right.
I've seen parents that literally would just go ghost as soon as their child asked about their father.
Right.
Any question they asked, they just wouldn't even address it. They would change the subject, or they would give a short answer and they wouldn't say anything. I don't think that that's the best way to handle it. I think
Right.
you got to have some level of transparency
Right.
and just decide what that is for you.
Right.
So avoidance is never good.
Never.
No.
All right, so we are on Legalish on DashTalk X, and we are going to take a break. But for those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking fatherless homes, and we will continue the conversation when we come back.
So
All right,
You have an hour.
You guys, I have a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
questions and comments on my lives. If you want
Thanks
to
for
take
tuning
some.
in.
At the end.
Again,
At
I'm
the end?
in
Okay.
the studio at
So you
Dash
guys who have posted your questions, we'll go ahead and
Okay, if
go
you
through
have any
those
questions,
towards the end of
let
the
me
show.
know.
The show is on for we have like another 30 minutes. So for those of you who are just tuning in, we're recording the episode that will air next week
Next week we're gonna talk
on
Motherless
DashTalk
Homes.
Radio,
So
and we're talking
our show
Fatherless
airs
Homes.
on Thursdays
and
at
the
4
fatherless
o'clock.
epidemic.
One will air today.
Next week
This
we will
show
be
air
talking Motherless
next week.
Homes. So
Okay, so
Whatever you
thank you
much
guys for
joining
tuning
us.
in. We're gonna jump right back on. We have 2 more segments, and in the last segment we'll take the questions.
Okay. Everyone ready?
Yep.
Welcome back to Legalish on DashTalk X, where we talk about celebrity drama from a legal perspective. But today we are talking about a topic that affects us all: fatherless homes, and how to deal with it, and what our kids experience, and what we are experiencing. 2 of the 4 of us in here are single parents, so this, is not, limited to one racial group or economic group. It affects us all.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about preteens, teens, and our guest in the house can talk to us a little bit about having preteens and teenagers and all that good stuff. And then we are so blessed to have Dr. Glenna to help us walk through some of, what we see. And each kid is going to present different issues, different problems, and we need to know how to deal with that. Unfortunately, as my mom used to always tell me, it is what it is. So the more we are equipped to deal with it, the better that we will be. So maybe, Michelle, can you talk a little bit about having teenagers and kind of what that's like, and then we'll pass it off to Dr. Glenna.
Well, I have 2 children, so they are 12, and one is going to be 17 on Tuesday. And my boy is the oldest one, my daughter is the younger one. So what I have found is that there will become a period in your children's lives where, and this is, I don't know if this is just me, but where you just don't know who they are anymore. And that's kind of the phase of life. Dr. Glenn is saying, yes, honey, so I am so thankful it is not just me, but so there comes a point, especially with the teenage boy, which is my oldest one right now, where you have no idea who they are. So that's what I'm dealing with as a single parent now, trying to figure out what is the best way to give him what he needs, and is it just best at this point to allow him to be who he is without trying to control the outcome. So just kind of at this point getting to the point of acceptance where he's got to kind of figure out who he is on his own. And I know you and I had talked about this. I moved out of my house when I was 17 years old, and you were 16 when you went to college. And so we were running our own lives for the most part at that young age. And so when I look at him, I think, well, son, you should be able to make your own decisions and try to figure out who you are and what you want in life. You do really need to get to that at this point in your life. Now with my daughter who's 12, she still likes me.
That's a plus.
She still needs me. She loves me, and she likes to hang out with me. So it's different mothering a daughter. So she'll come to all the Black lawyer events with me. She'll come to California Women Lawyer events with me. And she participated in this year's installation for Black women lawyers. She helped you out. So she is just, that stage. She still has, love for her mother. So she hasn't tuned me out yet in favor of her friends and her phone. So 2 different places. But I think with the oldest one, there is just a point where you just have to kind of accept that their journey is not your journey, and you really have to give them the space to really figure out what their journey is going to be.
Dr. Glenner, what comes up for me when she says a 16-year-old is dating girls? So how do you deal with that as a single parent? Because I want to know, because my son, I think, is going to date girls.
He's going to date eventually. You got a little time.
But how do we deal with that? Because we can't tell them we're not men, so we can't say, you know, I can show you what I think her parents want to see and be respected and all of that.
Right.
But in terms of the actual dating, how do we deal with that?
As a single parent?
Yes.
Okay, so I am an advocate of, I want my kids to do it in my face.
Yes.
So I want you to date in my face.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
So I don't want you to think you have to tiptoe around or hide things. You got a boyfriend, you got a girlfriend, bring them to the house.
Right.
Bring them over. Let's all sit around and watch TV together so that I can see what you're doing and I can coach you little by little.
Mhm.
So coaching is not, think of a coach, they're not on the field with you.
Right.
They're not moving your hands. They're not like, handing you the ball. They're telling you on the sideline, you should probably run this route. You should probably do this. If it's a box jab, watcher, whatever. They're coaching you from the side, but it is your responsibility to put it into play.
Mhm.
Right? So it's kind of the same thing with dating, and dating as a single parent is no different than dating as a couple. You know what I mean? We're just talking about how do you manage a child that's trying to figure out life on their own. I think I agree with you in terms of at some point you have to realize that their journey is not your journey. And I'm just in general, I'm an advocate of people dating because that's how you figure out what you like and what you don't like. Otherwise, that's how you end up just marrying some random person and then you're 10 years in and you're like, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like, well, you have to date to kind of figure that out. So if you keep all of that in mind, whether you're a single parent or a coupled parent, I mean, that's just, give them the opportunity to mess up in your face so that you can be there to help them figure out how to clean it up
Right.
before they're messing up on a larger scale.
Yeah, and I would say don't expect immediate response to your
No.
advice. All you can do is sprinkle it in the air and walk away, because they're gonna roll their eyes and turn around like you don't know what you're talking about. But then it'll come back
They hear
where they've heard you. Yeah, you'll figure out that they've heard you.
You know, I think because we're all powerful women in this room, I think the biggest issue I will eventually have is control. Like, how do you really say, okay, this is what it is and step back? I think that's really hard, especially for single parents when you've done it and you want to make sure your kids are successful and you want to make sure they stay on the right path. So how do you, Dr. Glenna, do that, make sure they're doing what they're doing without coming off to them that we're too controlling?
So this goes into, it's a two-part. One is you, and number two, one, you got to deal with your own junk. Because not every parent is controlling. Some parents, we have the opposite issue where they're like, I don't know where he at. He doing what I don't care. Like, as long as he don't run up my credit card or, tear up my car, I don't care what he do.
Right.
So if that is your concern, then you got to manage that within yourself. You got to say, what is it within me that makes it so that I have to hold the reins tight and I have to decide how everything goes. So you got to manage that within yourself. And then the other half of it is trusting your child. You have to know that everything you put into them, everything you've taught them, every example that you've given them, that they're going to pick up on it. They're going to put it into play, and that they're going to make mistakes, and that's a part of life.
Right.
That's a part of, how many kids was on college campuses with Wells Fargo signing up for credit cards because they was giving out free t-shirts. Like sometimes, you got to do it and then be like, well, this was dumb. Like I just ran up a credit card over a t-shirt and a calculator. This was dumb.
Credit card.
30% APR on some dumb stuff. You know what I mean? So,
$500.
right. But so you have to understand that is a part of it, and that all children, they're going to figure it out.
Right.
They're going to get it, but again, it goes back to kind of that coaching. If you think of it as, I'm going to give you instructions, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to implement the instructions, and then I'm going to be here, whether you do it right or whether you do it wrong, I'm still going to be here.
Right.
I think once you have that kind of relationship, then that's the best you can do.
And you're gonna mess up.
Oh, absolutely.
Just bottom line.
You're going to mess up. They're going to mess up.
You're not gonna
Right.
know you messed up until that one day where they, where
They're gonna
where
tell you messed up.
You messed up. It's all your fault.
Right.
So you're gonna mess up.
Right.
And it's just learning from,
Right.
your mistakes.
This all comes full circle, and Marissa, you can talk to this. Is as families see a lot of this stuff manifesting in adults.
Yeah.
People that haven't dealt with their issues, people still have daddy issues that are getting into these relationships. They haven't dealt with their stuff.
Yep.
So coming full circle, Marissa and Dr. Glenna, I mean, what do we do? Because now we're talking about adults. So
Yeah, so the biggest issue that I have with adults and my adult clients is helping them realize that they have these deeply rooted issues that may have started from their childhood that they now need to address.
Right.
So when I have clients come in who are withholding their children from the other parent, for example, because their dad wasn't there and they came out okay, which is one of the most common answers that I hear, well, I didn't have a dad, but I came out just fine. Well, you know what? Your kids should be better than just fine.
Right.
Why is that your goal for your kids' life just because that's what, you experienced? And had your other parent handled it differently, how would your life have turned out, or what would be the trajectory? So one of the biggest issues and one of the biggest things that I have to do is direct them to make sure that they get the mental health and the counseling and the therapy that they need in order to resolve those issues, so that they can then make sure that their children, sorry y'all, so they make sure that their children are going to be good and aren't going to experience those same things that they're experiencing now as adults. Dr. Glenna?
I'm sorry. Ask the question one more time. I was listening to Marissa like, yes.
I'm saying when we don't deal with some of these issues, as you said, if a lot of times parents ignore this issue. If you bring up dad's name, people don't want to talk about it. So we haven't dealt with this issue. So now we're into adulthood. What do you do, or what tips do you have for adults that haven't dealt with the fact that dad wasn't there? That might still be bothering them. So it doesn't manifest with their own children or in their own lives. How do you deal with that?
You call me.
You
call me.
Right.
You call me. You set up an appointment. You go to a safe space and you process whatever it is that you've been holding on to. Whatever it is that's stopping you, and people know inherently, like when someone calls me for a therapy session and I just ask, what makes you say you want to sit down and talk to somebody? Everybody has an answer.
Right.
Now it's my responsibility as a therapist. I'm going to help you kind of dig deeper and help you connect the dots to understand how this event touches that event and how it's currently affecting you. But everyone knows deep down what is still hurting them, what is still haunting them. You know what I mean? Like that one thing where, if you say it, they can't even laugh about it because it still hurts really bad.
Right.
Everybody has that something. And so rather than just walk around and hold on to it, go sit down and talk to somebody about it. Go to a safe place and process your feelings.
Right. What about the people that don't even know that it's still an issue?
Right.
Because some people don't even know. A lot of women don't know. They're still trying to date their dad, or they're still
That's that relationship.
trying to fix it. They don't even know. So if you don't know, how can you fix it?
Again, I am a firm advocate of everybody being in therapy at some phase in your life.
Right.
And so this is, you guys know I teach therapy as a lifestyle, is the idea of addressing your mental health before it becomes mental illness. So it's the whole idea of you don't wait until you're about to get a divorce to say, let me just touch bases with somebody. It's like you don't wait until your teeth are literally falling out of your mouth to go see a dentist. You see one once every 6 months. And say, just do a regular cleaning and let me know if everything is okay. So just go and sit down with the therapist and just kind of say, like, hey, you know what, this is my life experience and I just want to know, like, am I okay? Am I healthy? Is there something that I'm missing? Don't be afraid to do that.
Do you find that black parents are open to that?
Yeah.
To counseling? I mean, because for, culturally, it's not something that black culture.
Right. There's a stigma around mental health. There is a stigma culturally around African Americans and people of color in general accessing mental health. There was a study where they found that more African Americans would seek out, they would get help from other sources. So they would talk to somebody, they would talk to clergy, they would go to their primary physician, and the very last thing that they would do is go see a mental health therapist. So we know that that's true, but it's part of my responsibility as a black clinician to now just like scream it from the rooftops, like, hey, you guys, like, come in, come talk. It doesn't make you crazy. Most of my clients are not even diagnosed with a mental illness.
Right.
So it's like, again, you don't wait until everything is like the bottom is falling out. You just come in and you talk before the bottom falls out.
And that's interesting. You have people like Charlemagne the God and other more wellness to our mental health and how important it is and taking away some of the stigma. But I agree. A lot of people still feel like I'm just going to go to my pastor and he's going to work it out.
Barbershop, right?
Right.
Deal with this at the barbershop.
Right.
Yeah, and the reality is the more we talk about it, the more people start to open up to it and the more people are open to actually receiving it because, the more I recommend therapy to my clients, then they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And a lot of them are hesitant and they're like, nah, I don't need no therapy. I'm good. I read a book. I got a coach. I got a, and I'm like, just try it. One session. And as soon as they do, they're good. They're like, man, I'm so glad you talked me into doing that.
Right.
And a lot of times I have to require it before I take representation because I just cannot deal with the foolishness.
Right.
So,
Right.
I want everybody to be good when the case is over. And that's one thing that, so again, that support system is so important. Somebody has to encourage you. And then you have to be able to trust them that they're advising you in a way that is going to be best for you. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. For those of you who are just tuning in, you are listening to Legalish on DashTalk X with the Elite Firm. And we are talking fatherless homes. And we will be right back.
Okay, ladies, we're gonna jump right back in at 1:45.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so
You guys,
much
I'm
for
going to
tuning
go through
in.
a few
I'm
of your
here
questions
at
and comments.
Radio.
And if I
This
don't
show-
get to your
this
question
show
or
will
comment,
air
because I do have quite a
next
few on both of
Thursday.
my
So thank you
lives,
again,
then
Pastor.
I
If you
actually am
haven't
probably
already
just
done
going to
so,
come
I
back
feel
on
like
and do
Marissa
another
B.
live
Grayson
later
is
on
yelling,
today,
First of all,
Right, she
Um,
always yelling.
where am I yelling?
Yes.
Hey y'all.
She's so disrespectful.
My voice
Here,
is just
that's
loud.
live. That's what happens
Anyhow,
from Florida.
we
Anyway,
are
if you haven't already done so,
about to go back on, and then we'll jump right in.
Come on,
So,
lady. If you haven't
Right.
already done so,
Hi,
make sure
guys.
you
Thank
go
you
to
for tuning in. I see all of you, just so you
pick up
know.
your 2019 planner,
And I appreciate
your t-shirt,
it.
Your crew neck, your hoodies. Again, I'm here
All
with
right.
Legalish on Dash Talk Radio, and we are recording a radio show. It will be on the radio next Thursday.
My live video went out.
My phone, if I just very abruptly, I apologize. My phone might die because I didn't do what I was supposed to do and charge it before I got here.
Okay, it's 1:45. We're going back. Are we ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Legalish on DashTalk X. We are so excited to be here. This is Demetria Graves, and I just realized I didn't even introduce myself when we came on. This is Demetria Graves, certified family law specialist, co-owner of the Elite Firm.
Yes, and I'm Marissa B. Grayson, child custody and family law attorney, co-founder of the Elite Firm, and we are here with...
Hi, I am Dr. Glenna. I am a mental health therapist that specializes in anxiety-based disorders and emotional abuse recovery.
And who do we have in the building?
And they put me on the mic, y'all. This is Michelle L. Kazadi, certified family law specialist from Marina Day.
And we are talking fatherless homes. This is the first episode of a two-part series where we're talking absent parents. Today we're talking fatherless homes. Next week on Thursday on Dash Talk Radio, we will be talking motherless homes because y'all know that exists too, right?
Yep.
It's a real thing. So
It is a real thing. And before we take your questions, I just want you all to know that there are some very, very successful people that came from single parent homes.
right.
And I will never forget when I was young, my grandmother, I swear, would always tell me it is what it is. So at some point, you have to take responsibility for your life and say, okay, these are the cards I was dealt. I might have to go sit on Dr. Glenna's couch for a little bit.
10
But
sessions.
right.
Mm-hmm.
10, 20, whatever she says.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to move on with your life. Do not let this be the reason why you're not successful. We're not here that long as it is. Let's do the best that we can and move on. I wanted to point out a couple of people that came from single family homes.
Okay.
Jackie Robinson, the great Jackie Robinson family home.
42?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
42. Shaq. Although Shaq eventually had a father, initially he came from a single family background. Larry Bird. LeBron James. I mean, we can't say enough about LeBron James. Look how great he turned out. Kevin Durant. He also came from a single family background. So just know that your life isn't over.
President Barack Obama.
I was about to say, is it a
Duh.
coincidence that everybody's an athlete on this list?
Well, our clients are athletes. However, yeah, Barack Obama, the first black president. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. So it's not what we
Forever
want.
president.
Yeah, forever president. I like that. It's not what we want to have single family homes, and hopefully that gets better. Because 56%, come on, guys, that's poor.
20 million children live in single parent
Yeah.
homes.
That's just poor. So we got to do better with that. But I know we have some questions from the people, and you can still send me some questions here. Facebook folks, I see you. But I will start with Marissa. You have some questions?
I had one question / comment related to parents who leave, fathers who leave, and then start families with other women. And that's a big thing. Like there are so many parents who, or fathers who walk out of their children's lives for whatever the reason is. It could be that they're being withheld from the children. It could be that they just walked away. They don't want to be a father. They don't want to, parent a child with a particular person, whatever the case may be. But it isn't uncommon that father will then, though he's not being a parent to that child, move on and start a family and have several children with someone else and be a fully active parent with them. And that's a big deal. So I always wonder, like, what is it? Is it just that they don't want to deal with the parent in particular that, is the parent of the child that they walked away from? Or is it that, what is it? Dr. Glenner, you might have some insight on that.
Dr. Glenner, that's for you.
Okay, let's see. So I said it earlier. Sometimes the trife life is just strong.
Trife life. I love that. The trife life.
Sometimes a person is just good old fashioned trifling. And sometimes like their morals, their scruples are a little skewed and they just don't realize the full magnitude of what they're doing. You touched on a couple of things. Sometimes they don't want to co-parent with that parent. Sometimes they just don't want that life with that person.
But I mean, come on now. How you gonna say, oh no, I'm just, you know what, I don't even want to do that.
We good.
I didn't say it
I'm
made
good, love,
sense.
enjoy.
Enjoy that baby. Enjoy that baby. Let me go get me some more.
I didn't say it made sense. I didn't say it was right, and I most certainly didn't say that I agreed with it. But sometimes the reality is you don't want that life with that person. Right. Sometimes there's been so much, because one of the things that I don't feel like we really touched on is the relationship between the mother and the father and how that impacts their ability to co-parent. Right. Even sometimes it's just a matter of you want, like I used the bathroom example earlier, you want the boy to start standing up and using the bathroom at 2, and the woman is like, no, he's still a baby. Like sometimes it's like, I'm not about to have this conversation with you over and over and over again. I'm just going to walk away from it, and I know better, and now I'm going to find somebody that I'm a better fit with, that I can co-parent with much easier. I'm not saying I agree with it, and I'm not saying it's right, but I do think that the relationship between the mother and the father oftentimes plays a part in the nature of the father being absentee or not. Now, nothing is absolute, because there are women that have been nothing but amicable and the father still walks out. Nothing is absolute. But there's oftentimes the relationship between the parent is a factor in the father's decision. And sometimes when it's not, the father is just good old fashioned trifling.
Yeah. Right. And it is a common thing that fathers sometimes, because of the drama, decide that they're just not going to deal with it. I will see my kid.
We're going to do a whole show on it.
Yeah, we'll do a whole show on it. But fathers will say, you know what? I'm not dealing with this drama. Every time I want to see my kid, there's a fight. I'm almost going to jail. You call the police on me. You keep withholding them, or whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to be good. I'm going to wait until my child turns 18, and then I'm going to reappear and let them know exactly what went down. And it happens. And then a lot of times the children are resentful to the mothers, right? Because they hear the other side of the story. So it's just an unfortunate situation all around, and again, we're going to do a whole nother show on that. But okay, I'll do another question. So what do you do when your child's father does not do what the judge orders and falls off the face of the earth?
Well, you know what? I say this. Everybody is grown. You can't make a grown man do whatever it is the court says. Yep. Well, I've had people come and say, I need you to go to court and make him pick them up on the weekend.
Yeah.
Sorry. You can't make a grown man do something he doesn't want to do. Should you want to? These people know they have children. They should step up and parent their children. If not, you're gonna have to let it be what it be.
Right. And that's a good point, because a lot of times I do have the same issue. Parents come in, they say, well, the judge ordered them to have them every other weekend, and they only come every couple of months on the weekends. So one of the biggest things that is important for children in divided families is consistency. Right. So though you can't make a parent come and pick their kids up and be consistent, one of the things is going to be important if they're not consistent, and is going to be making sure that you some kind of way put that consistency into their life. So for example, if they're supposed to have every other weekend, they're only coming sporadically, then you want to change your order so that that sporadic visit is the only visit they get. Because also you can't base your life on an every other weekend schedule, not knowing whether they're going to come, because that's not fair to your kids. That's not fair to you, because you don't get to make plans with your children, because that's technically the other parent's weekend. So there's so many different layers to that. But yeah, you can't make someone be a parent, and that's just this, the sad reality. And I personally, if my kid's father didn't want to be there, I'm not trying to push my kids off, because then they're just going to drop them off with somebody anyway that I probably wouldn't want my children around. So, or do something worse, which we see in the news all the time.
Oh Lord, yeah, we don't want that.
Again, a whole nother show. So another question that I had was, I'm literally reading these as we go, so jeez Louise. Okay. When a relationship develops before any one party or both parties have okay, wait. Let me rephrase it. I think they typed it again. What do you do when the mother of your child refuses to allow you to take the child for a few days and give her that break? Court orders, that's the answer. And enforcement. If the court orders are there, though, you still got to enforce them, because we know people don't follow them. So the sad reality is you have to enforce the orders, and that's a whole nother process.
And don't sit on it. Don't wait 6 months if they haven't been following the order. You have to stay on top of that.
Right.
But ladies, if he's safe, take your break. Let them kids go.
Yep. Let's see. What if the mother is teaching your kid, a 3-year-old, bad words, such as the daddy is a fake daddy, your daddy sucks, and things like that?
Well, again, courts don't like this too much at all. They do not like your kid, and the standard is what parent is going to encourage frequent and continuous contact. So if the court thinks that that's not you, guess what? You're not going to have your kids. So there's a lot of judges that will be furious to know that you're teaching your kids that type of language.
Right.
But again, the responsibility is on you to do something about that. Don't wait till your kid is 15 and say, okay, now I want custody.
And I would also say don't engage in a back and forth. So sometimes when a parent is saying these disparaging remarks against one of the parent, the other parent will then say, well, I'm not that, that's your mom, or whatever it is. But when you start engaging in the back and forth, the court's just going to glaze over, and they're not going to change anything for you. So you really have to be on the side of right, even though it doesn't feel good. In the short term, let them say what they're going to say, figure out a way to capture that and make it admissible evidence. Take the court and
admissible evidence. Make it admissible. Admissible.
As we say in Southern California. Admissible.
Y'all are crazy.
One last question?
No, that was all the questions. Most of them, the other ones are comments. So
okay.
I just want to encourage parents, if you're experiencing these issues, and again, to Demetria's point, don't wait, specifically a father, because a lot of fathers are absent because the child's other parent, their mom or the grandparents, have custody of the kids or whatever it is, and they don't have the opportunity to spend time with the children because, the other parent is withholding the children from them. And it is imperative, you guys, it doesn't matter what you feel the court is going to do, because a lot of people have this misconception that moms are the only ones that get custody. Moms are the only ones who, have control of the children. You have to do what you have to do. And it's going to be a process. It's not easy, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight. So,
and I'm just going to say, fathers, I encourage you to be involved. Let's get involved. Let's change this statistics that 56% of Black children are being raised in fatherless homes. Let's change that.
And I was about to say, call us. You got to plug in there, right?
There's 3 family law attorneys sitting in here, so it's enough to go around.
Yes. Be involved in a positive way. So don't be involved and be negative towards the mother because of whatever wrongs you may feel you may have incurred as the result of her actions in the past. But if you then want to be involved now, be involved in a positive way moving forward.
Dr. Glenn, your last words?
My last words, of course, I'm all about healthy emotions. And so if you are the parent and you do have somebody on the other side that is absent, give yourself a healthy space to process those emotions so that you're not taking it out on your child. It's not seeping out. You're not irritable at your job. You're not snapping at everybody that
Right.
tries to help or give you positive advice. Give yourself a healthy space to actually process those emotions. And if there's any action that you can do to engage the other party, do it. So that way, when your child is 13, 14, 15, 18, 22, and they start asking you these real tough questions, you can go back and say, you know what, I did this, and this. You can pull out your file and say, I tried to contact them. This is the number that I had. This is the email address. This is their social media contact information. So you know that you can walk away from it and say, I literally did the absolute best that I could on your behalf, and this is the outcome.
The receipts.
Those
Those receipts. That admissible evidence.
Thank you so much for listening to Legalish on DashTalk X. As I discussed earlier, we will talk about motherless homes next week. So please come back and join us for that. And we are Elite Firm LA. We can be found on any social media platform and our website. Until next time, peace out.
All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in.
Everybody stop it.
Thank
I
you
don't
so
know how
much
to
for
do it.
tuning in.
I enjoyed
Thank you
all
so
the
much for
questions and your
being here. I
comments.
really appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm on two different
Stay
channels
dry.
right now,
Bye.
so I might come back on live later on just to answer some questions. So just look out for the notifications. If my notifications aren't already turned on, make sure you turn them on. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.
Make sure you go to www.drglenna